A bet to lose weight? When have you ever cared about losing weight? I eyed my never-out-of-shape brother carefully, noticing for the first time the extra padding around his midsection. "Since Nan's cooking," he said, patting his belly and glaring at his fiancée in jest. Nan was Georgia's beloved grandma and the town's most acclaimed cook. "I've got 3 months to get back down to my college weight. Not gonna be a problem." And with that, Savannah and Weston were headed down the block to Johnny's Pizza. I couldn't blame him for wanting to leave the frills of this feminine pastry shop. A high-end bakery covered in paisley wallpaper wasn't exactly the most fitting establishment for my brother. He was better suited for restaurants that catered to rowdy groups of children and served soft drinks in foam cups rather than tea in fine china. As Lenox's most adored high school teacher, he'd likely know 2/3 of tonight's patrons. Georgia's lovesick gaze lingered out the shop's picture window, even after the chimes on the door had stopped tinkling. Their relationship had always been full of teasing and banter, their childhood competitiveness a legend in our small Northwest town. But truly, there was no woman better suited for my brother. He pined over her when she'd left Lenox for the bright lights of LA and compared every available woman he encountered to the impossible standard of the one and only Georgia Cole. After 7 years of distance, he'd finally won her heart. For the second time. Georgia blinked hard, blushing when her gaze found mine. "He's such a little boy sometimes." I couldn't agree more. "How's everything coming together for the wedding?" The teal and white wedding binder took up half the antique table. "Let's just say, trying to plan a wedding near Christmas while scripting for the spring production has been less than ideal." Georgia hadn't owned the community theater for long, but her vision to give the youth of Lenox and surrounding areas a place to belong was beyond admirable. "Oh, that's right." I'd forgotten about the script she'd been working on, just like I'd forgotten the details of so many other things over the last year. In some ways, Savannah's cancer clearance was like a green light on a busy highway. I'd simply forgotten how to merge into traffic. Weston's challenge from Savannah's school parking lot replayed in my mind. "I bet you can't name a single time in the last year when you've done something for the sake of being social, without Savannah." Suddenly, this moment felt a little less like pure spontaneity and a little more like a setup, courtesy of Weston. Georgia waved her hand as if to clear the cobwebs of my relational neglect. "But we don't need to talk about wedding details or the fact that I'm in over my head trying to direct a show I haven't even finished scripting yet. Tell me about the new job." The new job. My new job. "It's going pretty well." I took a sip of my tea to avoid the inevitable hard swallow that was my signature lie buster. "You've adjusted well, then? To Savannah being in school and you working part-time? That's a big change." Understatement of the world. I nodded. If lunch breaks, school drive-bys, and daily check-ins with the school secretary could be considered adjusting well to Savannah's absence, then yes, I was doing exceptionally well at my new job. And in life. "Good. Weston was pretty happy when he told me about the position. It's hard to find something that will allow for a school schedule. I'm not the biggest Sydney Parker fan around, but I have to admit her fitness center is pretty remarkable, especially for a town the size of Lenox." True, the building had every possible upgrade. A piece of architectural art on the east border of town. Weston had drawn up the original design plans for the building. I dragged the end of my pointer finger along the rim of my rose-petal teacup. "He's a good brother, and I'm confident he'll be an even better husband to you." The dark-haired beauty beamed at my words and then deflated with a long, drawn-out exhale. "The next 3.5 months are going to be the longest months of my life." I laughed at that. Her innocence, her ability to dream of a future with such tangible desire and reverence. I'd been the same way in the months leading up to my wedding day. I had graduated from high school just weeks before I'd walked down that church aisle and pledged my future to Chad.